Well, hello everybody. Welcome back once again to Girl Upcycled Studio. My name is Kelly Weiler. If you're brand new here, please say hello to all of us. This is one of my very favorite times to go live. It is when I get to share some of these amazing, talented artists that I have met inside the Creators Club. So today we have the Creators Spotlight, and our very special guest today is Deanne Denny. So I am going to bring her up, and as I bring her up, if you would please say hello, just so that we know everything is working properly, making sure that the tech things are okay on our end. And then just say hello and let us know where you're viewing from. I always love to meet all of you. So with that, I'm going to bring Deanne up. Hopefully everything works okay. Well, hello, Deanne.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to just kind of hang out with us and chat a little bit and just kind of tell us, first of all, a little bit. We want to know what your art business is called and how everybody can find you. Let's just go there first.
Okay, well, my name's Deanne Denny, and on Facebook you can find me at DD Nuclear. It might say DD Nuclear Art. That's my new website is ddnuclearart.com, and I was highly motivated to get that done in time for today. So there's still a lot of paintings that I need to load in the shopping. But I have it out now, and it's
And it looks beautiful, by the way. I just was kind of peeking around, and you've done a lovely job.
thank you.
So I'm so excited to see you get that up and running. Um, so tell us a little bit about how in the world did you get into art? Is it something that you always loved, or did you kind of do this later on in life? And then we also want to know a little bit about how did you come up with that name, because it's a very different name.
All right, so I've I've probably been doing art since I can remember, not painting, but art in some manner. My mom is very artistic, and she was always doing different kinds of crafts. I could go down a list growing up, and I did a lot of drawing in school. I really got into photography, and I did that.
Oh,
I loved my art classes in high school. Really, that's back in the old timey days when I was in school. If there would have been goth, that would have been me. Because I was also into poetry.
mhm.
So gosh, I got married very young and lived in Germany for a couple years. So photography was really still
Mhm.
my main creative outlet.
Oh,
Uh,
really? You still
Yeah,
do? You still do quite a bit of photography then?
I do. I'm lazy at it now because of having a cell phone. But
Well, the cell phones are so nice nowadays,
they
aren't they?
are.
I mean, the camera quality is really very good
It
on the
is.
cameras now, but you have an eye for that, and that explains it because I'm thinking of the picture on your website where you are sitting at the painting and you have the camera back behind you taking that angle, and I just thought that just kind of told a story, and so that explains why, is because you are a photographer, so I can tell
Yeah.
now that that's you have a good eye for that.
Oh, thank you. And
Mhm.
I'm that photographer that doesn't like to be photographed. So
Oh, well, what a great option.
yeah, take a picture of my back.
Yeah. But see, that right there is a really good inspiration for some of, because many are like you. I don't necessarily like it either, but I've kind of gotten past that. But I still, when I get my picture taken, I don't like to look at it. But so I think that a lot of us will resonate with that.
Mm.
And so that just kind of gives us some ideas. So those that are watching, think about, go to Deanne's website and look at her photography, and you can really get some inspiration from her, I think, on that. So, what are some other ways that you would recommend for people that are more introverted and different ideas of their photography?
Um, well, photography is one thing and being photographed is another. For
Mhm.
me, photography, it's always about finding a different angle. That might be that might be lying down on the ground. It might be I did some fun images of flowers where I put the camera on, what do you call it when it's on reverse, like if you were going to take a selfie, which I don't, but
Mhm.
you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
I actually held the camera underneath the
Mirrored. I
flowers,
think it's called mirrored.
the mirror, whatever you call that when you put it in selfie mode. And so instead of shooting the flowers from the front, I actually shot them from underneath and just made
Mm,
sure my face wasn't hanging over, the picture. But that was kind of a unique angle. So for me, it's all about different angles.
that's interesting.
When it comes to pictures of me, um, I don't know because I avoid it. All the pictures of me as a child, literally, I'm crying because even as a child, I didn't like. Ask my mom. I'm crying every single
So
photo.
funny. And you are such a joyful person too, because I've had the pleasure of meeting you and your husband
He's
in
pretty good.
person.
Yeah.
And you are such a joyful person. So
Thank you.
I hope that you break out of that and we start to see a little bit more of your face.
Well, yeah, and I've never minded photographs that somebody took of me that were like I didn't know they were taking them.
Because it's
That's
natural.
fine. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's the same with mirrors. Looking at myself, it's one of those.
Yeah.
um,
And I feel like I have some friends that are photographers, and I've noticed a shift in the way that they take photos now. And it is more action, it is more lifestyle, more
Yes,
natural. And
more
I
natural.
love them. I love,
Yeah,
like, even the wedding photos are so much more
yeah,
interesting, I think, than the pose, like cheeky kind of like you're trying to force a smile. And
yes,
you're just getting natural um, shots of the event. Those are always by far, I think, the higher quality looking, more natural. And I love that photographers are going that route now too. So yeah, I completely understand
yeah,
what you're saying. Yep. Okay. So
definitely.
let's talk a little bit more. Really, let's shift back into your art, because I know I didn't realize that you had been in photography that long and that you were still doing it that much. But your artwork, your paintings are beautiful. So, um, kind of like, what made you kind of start to shift into that, to where you're actually doing all the canvas paintings, and you're
Yeah,
doing a lot of large scale things now too.
yeah. Well, it's really funny. This is where you could copy and paste just about everybody that you've interviewed that say, well, I had some old furniture that needed to be redone. Great quality stuff, but 1970s. So I started painting furniture
Mhm.
and I went online for inspiration. And I really was intrigued by all the artful furniture painting, not just find one color of creamy beige or minty green and paint your whole furniture suite in shabby chic. I just really liked the bold colors and the splatters and drips and layers and texture. And so I started following some furniture artists, and that was like this whole new world, and had fun painting some furniture. And then, of course, a lot of those artists were painting on canvas. Some of them were just starting out, and I thought, well, that looks like fun. And it's a lot easier to move a canvas than
Yeah.
it is a big dresser
Yeah.
or piano or whatever it is you're going to paint. So I actually just um, started doing it. I had some canvas boards um, from a family craft thing, and painted on those first, and I loved it. Now, when I was younger, I also did some drawing. I mean, it wasn't all about photography. I also did drawing
Mhm.
and printmaking. Those were my favorite things to do in high school. Um, so, I had some of that already. And even during, I was a single mom for 15 years. And even during that time, I mean, I had no money to buy or invest in any art products, but I would buy like these little craft balls of wood,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I would find old things and I would paint them. So I
Mhm.
was painting on things 25 years ago.
So
Um,
you were already doing the whole repurposing
I,
and
I
recycling and kind of before it really became like a big like hit, like a big popular
it was easy. It was a cheap way for me to express doing art, and it was fun. So I started painting on canvases, and the funny thing is that Um, in the past, I don't think I would have done that because I am a perfectionist to myself. I don't
Mhm.
I don't look at other people and see what they're doing as far as that goes. But for myself, I'm a perfectionist with what I make or produce or write or whatever it is I'm doing. And so for some reason, I'm at a point in my life. I was also going through some um, I just knew that I had this, it was like a depression. Um,
Mm,
retrospect, it was grief about something. And
yes.
so I really felt like, I mean, I went to the canvas with nothing to lose.
Yes.
And so that's been huge for
Mm,
me, because in my younger days, I would have started something and I would have just put it away and not
mhm.
pursued it because it wouldn't have looked the way I wanted it to look.
Right.
So to be at a point in my life where it 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 doesn't matter. A lot of it's just the joy in the doing,
Mhm.
and then the surprise of liking it. So I think,
So can I ask, so you had mentioned that you were struggling with a little bit of depression.
hmm
You also had that perfectionism going, kind of battling each other. It's almost like you can kind of flip it now and actually see it, depression a little bit as a blessing in a way
oh
because
yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of pushed you away from that over criticizing yourself and over perfection.
it really did. And the act of creating, and to me, everybody's creative. When
Hmm.
I tell people that, if they're not into drawing or painting, they shake their heads. And I'm like,
There's
no, no,
something that, yeah,
people create in so many different ways. It's really making. That's another word for creating, is making. Um, and so what I found was, in the process of the making, it it was relieving me from that just sense of blue, that blueness that was kind of hanging over me. It
yeah,
was it was a respite from that.
yes,
So that was a pretty good motivator. I mean,
yeah.
It was a lot more fun than probably alcohol. I
Well, it's healthier. Let's just put it that way.
yes,
We
yeah,
could do that in small doses, but
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it's a little healthier to paint more than the other, right?
It
But
totally is.
that is a big part of what being inside the Creators Club with the intuitive art, because you've been
Yeah.
in, I think you're one of my OGs. You've been in there quite a while.
Yeah.
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 I That's something that I feel that the intuitive art is about.
Mhm.
Really, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, you're really digging deep in your soul, and it's therapy. It's art therapy,
It is. It
is
really
really what it is. And I'm not a doctor or anything of that nature, but um you don't need to be. This is something that
mhm.
everybody has access to, and you can combine it with whatever. If you're a person that's in prayer, if you're a person that's
Right.
into meditation or whatever, you can combine
Right.
it with all of those. And it is really helpful, I think, on many levels, for people that are going through different issues, no matter what it is. And it is, you don't have to tell anybody what it
No.
means.
No, it's in fact it's kind of cool to think that some of my art has some things written on it that no one will ever know.
Yeah.
And um just the just how cathartic it was to write some things out.
Hmm.
I don't, who
Yeah.
knows why that is, but so
Yeah. Susan Mary's on here. She just said, art as therapy keeps the regulators away. That's true.
amen, sister. Yeah.
So, okay. So where do you see yourself going now? So now you have your website up and running. And where do you see yourself going with your art, as of right now, and your website and all the things? Where would you like to go?
Well, this is this is a kind of a debating thing within myself. This kind of internal struggle is I am at a point in my life, uh, age wise, that I don't I don't have to sell art in order to have a roof over my head.
Hmm.
So, I get the pleasure of creating for the joy of it, for the therapeutic of it, for whatever reason, I get the joy of doing that. But I am accumulating a lot, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm accumulating a lot, and so I would like to sell. I make stuff, and I would like to sell them. What I don't necessarily want to do is make it a full-time job,
Right.
because for me, business, when I went to college as an old person, I was a single mom, and I took some tests and I scored really high in science and art. The very bottom score was business.
Hmm.
So the business end of things kind of suck the joy out for me. So
Yes.
but I know that if I'm going to sell anything, I have to do the business part.
Yeah.
So I don't, I'm not answering your question. Right now, today, I'm thinking, okay, phew, I got the business license, the account, the website. I'm going to start painting again. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm thinking today.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that, the business part of it is, it's not so fun. It just isn't. But when you do see a piece sell, and
mhm,
you just see the joy that a person has. I mean, a lot of times when that one person connects with the piece, you can
mhm.
almost see it and feel it on their, I don't know, their disposition, or their
Yeah,
there's just something so joyful about that
it,
it
it
kind
is.
of makes the business part
Yes.
okay. Well, that's not so bad, because you feel like that's really it's going to be living in someone's home, and they're
Yeah.
going to just be having that little piece of joy when they look at it every day.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
So,
I love that.
so that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because, it's like cleaning the kitchen. I don't do it because I love it, but I feel really good afterwards. So,
Exactly.
so it's worth it. Once every couple months or.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
your artwork is just stunning. I want
Thank-
to tell you. And I feel like, I've been watching you. Like I said, you've been in the group for a while, and man, like I know your pieces as soon as you
Oh,
post them before I even see who posted it. I know that it's your piece. So I
I
really feel like
appreciate that.
you've grasped that whole, like, finding that fingerprint, your own fingerprint, and like you just have it just has your own look. It's just amazing.
I that means a lot to me because for so long that has been kind of my thing is I don't have. I mean, I could my stuff, if you kind of looked through it, to me it all looks separated. And
Mhm.
if you had a,
But it does.
well, that's so good to hear because that's what I have been wanting.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No, no. We have, there are quite a few of our art sisters in here, and they can probably, yeah, um, kind of say the same thing about it too. So there's just something about your brush strokes and your line work, and there's something that even, and I'm not talking about the subject matter. Your subject matter may change, which I think is interesting because I I get bored with doing the exact. I love doing things in nature, but I sometimes I want to do animals, and sometimes I want to do flowers, and sometimes I want to do
um,
but it is when the you can kind of see that person's like that fingerprint of theirs in their work. That's what I'm talking about.
well,
So,
people have asked me to do things that I've never done. Well, and I really haven't been painting all that long, but you know, I, I have to laugh because a friend of mine commissioned me to paint her son, who was graduating from high school, a Bugatti Chiron, which is a car, which is something I'd never heard of in my life, much less painted a car. It's, and I can
mhm.
tell you a half a dozen things that people have asked me to paint that I've thought,
Yeah,
okay, I'll give it a try. If you like it, you can buy it. But how I treat my commissions is if you don't like it, don't feel obligated. It's just
right.
paint. So
So you are doing commissions now. That's wonderful.
yeah, I've actually been doing them for over a year.
Oh, that's wonderful. That
Yeah.
is wonderful.
It
So when you do a commission, are you still, I mean, and this, I'm going to say for myself too, this is hard. Doing commissions is hard because it's kind of like you're in this battle between, oh, they want this, but I paint this way. And
yeah,
finding that balance, what do
yeah.
you do with that? How do you
You know,
accomplish that?
the way that I let all the pressure out of the room is by being very upfront and saying, I'll paint it. I'll show you every once in a while. I'll send you a photograph. You
Hmm.
can tell me if there's something you want different or added to. We'll go back and forth. And then when I get to a point where I feel like it's done, if it's just not what you had in mind, no obligation. And
Hmm.
don't feel bad about it. I tell them. And the people that have had me do commissions are people that know me, they're friends. And so they know, look, it's
Hmm.
just paint. It's just paint. Um, so that takes the pressure off for me. Now, the other thing that takes the pressure off is um, the timing. Um, I haven't felt too stressed about timing because the when I've done the commissions, like one of them, I had in timeout for so long. It was I don't know why it was such a difficult piece for me. It was a mountain lake scene with canoes, and I don't know why I really struggled with that. Um, and I mean, I think I had it for over a year, but the person had said no pressure for time, just give it a try,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. That really does help. And that, like,
yeah.
once in a while, I do commissions and I have to have, yeah, I'm like you, I have to have plenty of time. I mean, but
Yeah.
I feel like I could push out a canvas a little bit quicker than a piece of furniture, I will have to say. Um,
Yeah.
so that kind of makes a difference too
Yeah.
for the commissions. But that's wonderful. I love that you're doing more commissions. So that's wonderful. So what do you choose if you're just hanging out, would you rather be painting on just canvas or at this point, or do you want to jump back into any of the furniture painting?
I actually have a really cool piece of furniture that I'm gonna paint sometime when it warms up. I live in the Seattle area, raining a lot, so to be out in the garage is not that fun. Although this piece is small enough that I could probably bring it inside and work on it. But I do have one piece that I'm going to work on furniture wise. But I like canvases, and I've also been painting a lot more on paper. Uh,
Oh.
because when I am painting on canvas and I squirt out far too much paint, then I have this excess paint. And what I found was that if I just started smearing it on different paper, it ends
Mhm.
up becoming this background under layer. And some of my favorite things have happened on top of wasted paint.
Isn't that amazing
Yeah,
when that happens?
yeah. So that's one of the reasons I get kind of when someone asks me, "Oh, I like the blah blah that you did. Will you paint me one of those?" And I kind of think, I can't I can't really replicate it because it's
Yeah.
who knows what's underneath.
Yeah, there's no way. I think that's what is so great about painting like that too, is that there really is no way to duplicate it. So,
Yeah.
so what kind of paint are you mainly using? Are you using mostly acrylics now? Are you hopping over and are you diving into any oils yet or watercolors
Um,
with your
see,
products that you're using?
mostly acrylics,
Mhm.
but I have acrylics that are, but I have a wide variety of acrylics. I have the very fluid to the heavy body.
Mhm.
I like using some of that, the Montana water-based spray paints.
Mhm.
Um, I have ADD, so I'm, always doing something different. And I haven't tried oils, and I think it's because of my ADD.
Oh,
Um,
really?
oils, oils take a while. My daughter uses oils and does some pretty amazing stuff, but I am fearful of how long they take to dry. And
It does. It does. So that's
so I haven't done oils. I've done a little bit of watercolor. I think they're watercolors. They're in a little pan and you add water to them.
yep.
And I also like collage, kind of getting into collage.
That's awesome.
Um,
Is there anything close by that you could maybe give us a little peek at close up? And
mhm.
is there anything like that is maybe your favorite and
Oh,
why it would be your favorite?
well, some of the stuff I can't show you because it's so big. I have a 4 foot by 5 foot painting that I finished recently that I'm pretty happy with, but it's it's big.
Now
Uh,
that's the one that's on your website, I believe.
um,
Am I wrong?
well, the unfinished version of it's
Yeah.
on. It's actually spoken for. I do want to get to a point where I list some of my paintings that have sold on my website. I don't have any watercolors. I have a few things on paper. This was kind of a fun floral that I did
Beautiful.
that I really liked. I like the loose style, and that was on paper.
And then was this one that was used with your leftover paint?
This one, probably did start out that way. I think all the paper that I have started out that way. This one's a little bit bigger. It's also another floral. Um,
Oh, I love that. You know, because it has my turquoise in it.
I know that's my favorite.
No,
That's my favorite.
no, me too.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think I once heard somebody say that painters either kind of gravitate towards purple or yellow, but if you gravitate towards purple, you don't really use yellow, vice versa. And I had to laugh because of all the stuff I've done, like maybe one thing has yellow in it. It's
Mm,
not that I've done a lot of purple. I actually like I like blues and greens, and I like hot pink and orange.
mm-hmm.
So those are
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. They complement each other. On
uh,
your, that's something I've noticed. Your use of color is amazing.
I use color.
Yeah, I love it. But you have a really nice balance of the colors and complementing each other. I think you've done very well at that.
That
So,
that's been a struggle. I've tried to even with photography, the technical part of it was really hard for me. I just wanted to do the eyeball part of it. And
mhm.
so with painting, you know, I've I've tried to make sense of the color wheel. I have a book that I bought, Understanding Color Theory, and whatever part of my brain, it just,
Mhm.
you know,
Well, and I think too, you know, you had mentioned you have ADD, and I think, you know, quite a few of us do have that. And I think that that's where we kind of find a block.
yeah,
And that's where I feel like with the layers, when we're doing those intuitive sessions, those layers, we're kind of laying it on with how we feel.
yeah,
And then we're just kind of cleaning it up later. We're going to organize it later. And so I think that's kind of therapeutic for people with ADD in a messy kind of way. But
yeah.
sometimes we have to make a mess to learn and
Oh yeah.
grow, you know,
Yeah.
and we learn by doing. Like you can
Mhm.
explain how a person, like with painting, how we were going to make mud if we combine colors, but a person with ADD, sometimes we just have to go in there and make the mud to get
Right.
in the mud. Oh, that's what they mean by it looks muddy. It's not as bright because look, I've mixed this color, and then we have to visually see. So
Yep.
I
Yeah.
feel like many creative people deal with that. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that it's just our brains work a little bit differently.
You know, and so I think the great thing has been that it starts out as play, and I don't feel like if I do something I'm like, "Oh, I really like that." But then later, you know, I remember going through the stages of, "Oh, I've made this painting and oh, I don't want to go further because I'll mess it up."
Yeah.
But I know that it needs to go further, but I
Mhm.
don't want to. I don't, and so I've just kind of I blew through that. I'm like, whatever, it's paint.
Mhm.
So
That's good, but that
yeah,
a lot of people get stuck right there at that point, right? Where they're afraid to mess anything up. They're afraid to let it go, right?
I think my younger self would have. That would definitely describe herself. So you know, starting now, and I started when I started painting, I still had a full-time job, and
Mhm.
um, so one of the reasons I kind of held off on marketing, if you will, is the business part is I my other job was, you know, it was at times overwhelming for me. So the painting was fun, it was play, it was therapeutic. The business end of that was not. I already had a job. So
Mhm.
once I'm not fully retired from that job, but I mean I for all intents and purposes I'm retired. Um, so that's when I told myself, okay, now you gotta do those things,
Yeah.
the business things, and I don't mind doing them as much
Yeah.
now.
And I think that you're at a wonderful place in your life too, that you are able to do what you love to do. You are a very you're a true artist.
Grateful.
You are, I mean, it just oozes out of you. Everything I see you do, it just is amazing. But it's so cool that you're at this point in your life where you can do what you want to do and what makes your soul happy.
Yeah.
And the business part will come, and you have, a support team. You can always reach out, to many of us in this. I love this creative community that we have.
Yeah,
Everybody is so helpful.
it is.
We want to see you succeed, and we want to see you flourish and sell those paints, and maybe do a show or two. That would be kind of cool at some point too. I could totally see you. Is that something that you could see yourself doing, setting up at a art show or something?
It would, yeah, I mean, I would be willing to do that. I haven't done the outdoor fair festival type things just because a lot of my paintings are big,
Yeah.
and so just trying to decide, do I really want to invest in the things that I could display. I actually
Mhm.
now have some small things, and my friend that helped kind of coach me through doing the website, she is a soap maker, um,
Hmm.
a brilliant. She makes really amazing soap products, and she's asked if I wanted to maybe sit with her at an outdoor thing this summer,
Oh,
and I
interesting.
think I would be willing to do that with some of my small. I have some printed things, and I have some
Mhm.
smaller canvases, and so that would be fine, to
And
do.
I think that once you start doing that, you kind of ebb into it. You kind of, you'll realize like you'll need, some backing to
Right.
support
Oh
your
yeah.
painting, something to like, that's going to hold your paintings up very well.
Right.
But there are indoor shows. I know
Oh
I
yeah.
just recently had Gary Blevins here. The last art walk that we had a pretty big show.
Yeah.
His work is very, I mean, he only does all very large.
Of the
He
big.
does not sell his large typically. I know he did get an offer, but he typically doesn't. But what he does is he makes prints. So that might be
Oh,
something that you might want to think about if you're doing, you
oh,
know, some traveling shows they're a little bit easier to
sure.
pack up and take.
And I have some of those. There's actually a couple years ago I found a place that's fairly close by that does the digital scans.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of my pieces that I think would be, would sell as prints, I've had those scanned. And I have had prints made of some of them. So that I would do. Um, you know,
Yeah, that would be
it's
interesting, I
more
think.
affordable. It's more affordable. I mean, if you're going to a street fair, you might not necessarily think, oh gosh, I think I'll spend $800 on a large canvas today. So
But
yeah.
then again,
You
that
never know.
you never know that
Um,
people get touched by certain things and just want,
right,
want to
right.
have it. Or the husband hears the wife, and then the husband comes back and says, my wife is in love with this, and our anniversary's coming up. That
Mhm.
happens. So it's because it's a special one
Yeah,
time, unique, and it means something. So
yeah.
uh,
And
Judy, it looks like she was already over on your website. She says, so good. Yeah,
oh,
it does. It looks beautiful.
it's a work in progress, and I'm really hoping that kind of that online sales format. I mean, I
Yeah.
really like Instagram. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm doing all the things to gain all the followers, but I'm kind of dipping my toe into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
And give yourself that permission. I mean,
Mhm.
it takes a lot of time. And so just, and it's always evolving. I mean, you said, it's a work in progress or whatever the comment that you made. Mine is always in progress and it's always changing. And so you'll kind of get used to that business end of it. making the changes as need be. So, um, oh, Gail says, she says, I have actually purchased a large canvas from an outdoor festival. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well,
Well, Gail, take a look at my website. No, just
yeah,
kidding.
right. Exactly. She'll love it. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with us that we might not already know about you?
Well, let's see. I'm going to be really quick out because people do ask me about the name, DD Nuclear. Um, and so the short story is my initials are Deanne, or my initials are DD for Deanne Denny. My career is in nuclear medicine,
Mhm.
and I love all things atomic. I'm kind of geeky and nerdy that way, but I just love the nuclear thing. So
Awesome.
it was actually my husband um, that came up with the name, and he came up with the name for this was when we were dating, and I didn't realize it at the time. It went over my head. But he was involved in, fantasy football at work, and so that's what he named his team. And I thought, oh, I like the sound of that, DD Nuclear. I wasn't even thinking about his last name. My former last name did not start with a D.
Mhm.
He was It was kind of his Deanne Denny thing.
That's so cool that it
Well,
has evolved for you.
it went right over my head, but I love the name of it, so I stuck with that. The other thing that I was kind of pleased to discover, and some people I think are nervous about putting themselves out there as far as what they've made. They make something, and they feel like if I post this, people will perceive that I'm boasting or bragging. And this is what I discovered about that. I love to look at art. I kind of go into a vortex online looking at other artists, and it gives me a lot of joy when I see certain things. I love it, and it makes me feel good. And what I realized about my own stuff is that I don't know if you do this. In some ways I'm kind of detached from my art. I don't think of it as I'm the maker.
Mhm.
Woohoo! Look what I don't even look at that. I look at it the way I look at other people's art, and I'm like, oh, the colors, or oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I really like that. And so it's neat to be able to take delight in something like that, but it's not an ego thing. It's
Yeah.
it's detached from that. It's just you're just looking at it from the perspective of that's a cool piece of art,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if other people look at their stuff that.
Yes, yes, I think that what you're kind of getting at, or at least I'm going to say from my own experience, my joy is in the action of the painting, of
Mhm.
the doing and the creating part. And then I can let it go. I mean, there are certain things that like, oh, I'm just in like, oh, I just really love that one because
Yeah,
it kind of puts me, sometimes I'll look at something and it'll put me back into how I was feeling.
when you made
And
it.
that can go either way. There's something negative going on in my life,
Yeah.
and that painting, I've actually just painted over things before just because I just could feel that again, that energy that I had. It just made me, it's like when you watch a show and that emotion you get from, whatever show you're watching,
Yeah.
it can be a
Yeah.
sad song or what, that's what it does to me. So I have had to just get, like that has to go away now. I'm done with that. Uh,
Right. Right. But
or
do you ever look back at your stuff and you kind of surprise yourself like, wow, that's a good piece.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And then I've looked back and been like, well, that was crap.
yeah, well, yes, there's
There's
that too.
that too.
There's that too. And I did one piece, and this was one of those things that was really a takeaway from the Creators Club and the intuitive art is there was something that was happening, and it affected me in a hard way, in a deep way. And I started painting. I had no plan. There was one element that I wanted to use, and it was a chair that had wings on it that I had seen a photograph of on Pinterest. And I started with that element, and then the rest of the painting happened. And it's the most emotional painting that I've ever done
Mhm.
by far. And a friend of mine bought it. And if I go and see it, it's still, I mean, it still makes me cry just because
Uh,
hence my feelings were when I painted it. I don't have any other painting like that, but that was an intuitive piece.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they can get really deep. It
it was,
can be dependent on where you're at in your headspace.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just it's a very unique experience. It's something
yeah.
I just have never. I would imagine songwriters and writers, I would imagine they all go through what we're experiencing. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I just, yeah, it's such a unique experience. So I think there's so many layers to the intuitive art process, to that emotional layer, but also the learning that you get through it. I mean, I've learned so much just about technique, even if we want to get technical. Um,
Because you're trying,
so
you're not restricted, so you can try different things,
yeah,
and that's how
yeah,
you learn.
having that freedom of knowing that it's okay to not know where I'm going, I think is just such a freeing experience. And
It is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am so, so happy and honored to have you here today as my
Thank you.
guest. I absolutely love your work. I highly recommend all of you, if you could go on over and check out her website. It's so pretty. She just got it up. So I imagine I'm going to keep going back and checking in on you, because I can only imagine how it's going to evolve. So where else could they find you? Are you on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is really my favorite, and that's just DD Nuclear.
Okay.
Um, that's where I really go first to post art, um, and then that kind of pushes over to my Facebook page,
Mhm.
um, which is Deanne Boss Denny. I do have a Facebook business page that I have had some issues with, so there is a business Facebook page, and that's DD Nuclear. But if you have access to Instagram,
Mhm.
that's my
Your first choice. Now, are you anywhere else? Are you on YouTube or anywhere else? TikTok or anywhere? Okay. Uh,
no, I haven't done YouTube because I haven't done videos.
Gotcha.
Um, and I haven't done, I mean, I've done a couple of reels on Instagram. Um, Still, that's a learning curve.
It is. And you will
And
always be
I've
learning.
never been on TikTok, so
Yeah.
I, you know, I have enough social media.
Yes.
Then it becomes business for me, and I don't.
Exactly, exactly. So anyway, you guys check her out over on Instagram for sure, and she is on Facebook. Definitely check out her website as well. It's beautiful. You will enjoy it. And, I'm sure if you're interested in a piece, I'm sure she would let one go, because they are gorgeous. So that is the thing too. The Creators Spotlight, this is a great place to support small working artists, and filling your home with art that means something, that people have made, means so much to small businesses and small creators like ourselves. And honestly, it's so much more interesting, I think, to go into a home where there's original artwork, and it's not something that's been mass produced from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever, I just think it's so interesting to see original art in the home, and it means so much. So again, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Kelly, thank you.
And I will see you inside the Creators Club soon.
Yes, well.
All right. Thanks,
Right.
everybody. I will see you. Remember, every 2 weeks we do the Creators Spotlight. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll have a new guest up. So I hope you enjoyed today. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.